Welcome to Holy Fuck. Holy Fuck. Holy Fuck. Two gals on the prowl for enlightenment, sex, and all things holy. Holy Fuck. Each week, beauty alchemist and transformational coach and speaker, Katherine and spiritual healer and life coach, Krista Kim, discuss navigating spiritual consciousness in a real human body. Stumbling through dating, relationships, and everyday life, all while maintaining a fucking sense of humor.
Hey, Krista.
Hey, Katherine. Happy spring break. Look at that wet t-shirt you got.
No, I do not. Don't be silly. I already did that once. Daytona Beach.
Daytona Beach.
Oh, my God.
What year was that?
Oh, no, not telling. They didn't have hot rods still, okay? So it wasn't the 50s, but we're just going to leave it to your imagination. Okay, the 80s.
The 80s. So one of the first wet t-shirt contests.
No, I doubt it. They've been going on for a while.
But, so yes, it's spring.
Spring break?
Yeah. Woo! And we are definitely planning on taking advantage of the break part. Right, Katherine?
Yes, we are. Krista and I are going to take a break. We're going to give you a break to go back and listen to every episode that you missed.
Do not miss a one.
Do not miss a one, because we're going to be out there taking a little break, doing some soul searching, doing some spiritualizing, doing some maybe.
You'll probably be having some sexualizing.
Having some sex. You never cease to amaze me where you find yourself.
Dream big. I better get a new ideal scene going.
That's great. So we're going to, let's see, take a break and
get
some R&R.
Life has been really big and busy, and we've been, when we always say this, when we started the podcast, it was like, well, just podcast and do a little here and do a little there. And it's like, okay, that started, and that's not the way it went. It was like, the minute we launched, it was like, boom, 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 and now let's do this and let's do that. And it feels like, we've been following that guidance and going, and maybe there were some times where we were wanting to grow and we got some pushback and some resistance and things didn't quite flow. But guess what we did, or I did? I pushed through. I think you did too, but
I think we might have. We were trying to find our way, and sometimes we don't listen as well as we could have. And one of the things that happened last year was, anybody who's been following us, which who knows who that is, but we started out and then we said, oh, we're getting married somewhere in the year. And then we said, oh, we're having a baby. Well, we just birthed our baby, which is the workshop series that we're doing. And bringing that, anybody who has a baby knows that it's always a big surprise how much energy it takes to birth a baby. So that baby.
How much money and paperwork.
Oh, and paperwork. Oh, yeah. We have to name it. You have to have a birthday. You have to have an astrological chart. So we created a partnership and a baby last year, and that baby is ongoing, and we are going to take spring break around that baby's schedule. And
we're going to nurture that baby.
Nurture that baby into its own thing and take a break from podcasting until we are guided right back here for our second season. And we can't wait. We know there's lots of juicy stuff, and there's no way that Krista and I would ever leave you all or ourselves, because this has just been too much fun.
Way too much fun, and we enjoy it too much. But in that enjoyment of it, we've also been like, well, let's grow here and let's do this. And that's all great. But I think we finally hit a point where it was like max capacity was hit. And it was really indicated by Krista's foul moods.
There might have been 1 or 2 days of that where Krista was simply overwhelmed with all of the things. And in your defense and to your credit, always trying to move this beautiful thing forward, always trying to expand. You have a really high capacity for wanting to move through because you know how good you feel on the other side. And yet, in our wisdom, we realize that there are times when it's time for spring break. That's why everyone gets one.
Because I was just getting to the point where it was like, even though there was so much good stuff happening in my life, it was like almost like I couldn't see it because felt like the world was on my shoulders. And, it's not even just all the work stuff. It's personal stuff, it's going, I have 3 teenagers at home and I'm a single mom, and I'm in the reinventing myself after staying home for 15 years and at the tail end of a divorce. And as, amicable as a divorce has been, it's still divorce. It's still emotional. It's still the unraveling of what life has been for 20 years. And even though I have the skills and I've been doing a ton of work to process it and not allow it to get me down and make it feel really heavy, it's like, it's still there. And so, and then boyfriend stuff and family stuff and health stuff and friends, it's just too fucking much sometimes.
Yeah. So when it's too fucking much, it's not a holy fuck. Mm-hmm. So since it's not a holy fuck right now, we are going to just take this beautiful break. And we really invite all of you to make sure you're doing this in your own lives. It's a time to go within, and sometimes a time to not go within, time to play, like exhaustion. You know what? Binge watching TV, awesome idea sometimes. Having
romance
some wine
novel.
with friends, romance novels. Having a little time with yourself, going for long walks, having parties.
This is so hard for me, though. I mean, it's not in my being to give myself this rest. I mean, I'm really hitting some resistance in it because in my mind, it's like if I flow into that feminine side that wants to be taken care of and nurtured and rest and eat bonbons, there's this part of me that goes, that is not okay. That's not safe. You're a loser, suck it up, and keep going.
That's right. So you're your very own slave driver, which is awesome, because the OSHA wouldn't let you run a business because they'd be like, no, you can't do that. You're going to kill somebody. Oh, it's just yourself. So what we're saying is we're going to take our own advice. So we had a very funny week where we went to Palm Springs and we were so excited and we were like, holy fuck. And we put it out there and it was this big thing.
Oh, wait, we got to tell them. We actually recorded
I know, I'm about to tell them.
Oh.
We recorded an episode in the car so you guys would know and it would be this big thing. And it was so bad.
The episode was fantastic.
The episode was great. Except Spirit didn't want you guys to hear it because it was all...
The sound was horrendous.
And we sent it to our lovely guy and he said, yeah, not so much. Yeah. So then he came over and helped us reset everything. And we did a second episode for you guys. Similar topic, still a really good episode. Hell no, says Spirit. That one's not going out either.
Horrible too. We were like, what is happening? And
echo.
So we got together for a third time. We're like, okay, apparently that topic wasn't supposed to come out. So we'll get together and we will podcast a completely different topic. And we got together, we set up the equipment and we stared at each other and we stared at each other and nothing came. And it was really uncomfortable. We're like, wow, what is really happening here? Spirit has a very strong message, and are we going to stop and listen to it? And so we gave ourselves that time to just sit and talk and go like, wow, what's going on? And what is it that we're really not saying? And I think really what wasn't being saying is me going, I am so fucking exhausted that as much as I want to move forward and put something great out there and do this, and this, I'm so tired. I'm emotionally so tired. I can't even put a smile on my face anymore. And I've got nothing. I've got nothing for you, Katherine. I've got nothing for my kids. I've got nothing for my friends. I don't have anything for myself. And I certainly don't have anything for this audience to hear because it's all fucking bullshit at this moment.
Yeah, so that's how Krista's feeling. Anybody get a sense of how dark that got? Yeah, and it's beautiful. It's beautiful to know because it happens to all of us. Mm-hmm. And we get to a place where we have to respect ourselves. And for me, one of the great ways of thinking about this is that the balancing of the masculine and the feminine inside me is that the masculine takes over and says, not the wounded masculine, the loving masculine says, you need to take care of yourself. You need to lie down, you need to rest, and you need to be kind. And you need to maybe even do some inner child work. I don't know, but
I might have suggested that.
And it's a time for us to get back into balance. Whatever our balance is, we're not suggesting that it's 50-50. We're saying get back into balance. Find the place where you feel like yourself again, where your joy bubbles up from the inside. Krista, you have beautiful laughter. She's very funny. And I love you very much. And we're going to.
But I'm not funny when I'm tired.
Well, she's not funny. She's not funny. How many of the rest of us are funny, happy, joyful when we're spent completely? And we all know what that feeling is. And it does happen a lot around birth and also around big events in our lives.
And you were so great about being the partner who says, it's okay to be tired and it's okay. You don't have to do this alone. You're not alone. You're not a failure just because you need a break. Take the time you need. And if you wouldn't have been able to hold that space for me, I would have just kept plugging along out of obligation or not wanting to let you down.
Yeah. And isn't that tricky? The times we don't talk to our partners. So again, this is a very big partnership, and Krista and I are even learning about partnership. And so it's been a little lumpy when one of the partners is feeling this depleted. How do you get to the truth of that? How do you both find the space? How do one of you not react to the other while that's happening?
Yeah, not take it personally.
Not take it personally. Not be like, wow, that feels really personal. I'm going to try to I'm going to go walk in the other room for a minute, scratch my head and come back. And at the same time, really keep loving and respecting whoever's going through whatever the time is that's too much. And really just saying, Spirit would never want me to do this way. Life is about loving and passion and joy, and it's not about struggle and suffering. Mm-hmm. And so if that's what we're creating, we don't want to pass that on to you guys.
Never.
We're not passing that on to you. So we're not passing it on, and we're not putting up with it in ourselves.
And that's how we stay in integrity too, because it wouldn't be for me, it wouldn't be in integrity to show up here and do a podcast if I'm not able to say my truth. Right. And if my truth is I'm exhausted and I feel like quitting and jumping off the planet, then I'm not, if I can't say that, then I can't speak.
So she just said that.
So I just said it, and that's how I felt. And it's not that I was going to do it. It's that's how I was feeling. And it's wow, when I get in that space and I'm not able to be authentic anymore, then I found myself going silent, because if I can't say the truth, then I'm not saying anything.
Right. And that was a beautiful thing to be aware of. And the other thing is how protective we get. We protect ourselves from knowing that we need more space. We protect other people from really seeing how we are and what's happening. And in the end, it's actually worse, right? Because we're not in partnership anymore. We're just faking it. Mm-hmm. And I think
we know what that's like.
We know what faking it's like. That's not good.
Anymore.
That's not good. We're not suggesting anybody do faking it. So we're not going to fake it with you. So please don't fake it with your partners. And we just want you to know how much we love you, how great it is being here with you, how this time has just been an incredible, beautiful journey for us. We have no idea what's coming next. I always have something to say about maybe we'll do this, and Krista has now quieted me down to not promise anything because we don't know. So now we're just going to wait. We're going to have some.
We're going to listen to our own advice.
We're going to take our own advice. We're going to settle in. We're going to let Spirit speak through us. We're going to have faith, and we'll be back stronger, bigger, happier, and rested. How about that, Krista?
I mean, even just the last couple of days, we've basically said okay, all business meetings are stopping. We'll just take a couple weeks off, no podcasting. And just giving myself permission to take that off the calendar was okay, now I can breathe. And what I noticed is I did start doing that inner child work. Mm. And I did hear it when you said, hey, I think that little girl inside has some big stuff to say. And so this weekend, I gave myself the time and the space to do it, because it does take, I need to know if I'm going to do that type of intense work that I've got a week or two with not much to do in order to process what's happening. And I think that even though I knew I needed to do that work probably a month or two ago, it's there was no time for me to lose my shit or to cry or to be weak, because we had too much going on. And so it was I had to just lock those feelings down and ignore them, because I knew I didn't have the time or space to do it. So in finally saying that's it, there has to be space for this, because by the time the podcast is getting blocked 3 times, It's like Spirit's not going to allow us to move forward on anything until we get real, until I get real.
Right. And for both of us. And the thing is, when one of us is not real, the podcast isn't real. And it's not that any one thing was happening. It was just many, many things were all just kind of coming together. So I think we can all relate to this. How many times we've had times in our lives when you're just like, stop the world. I want to get off. That's all I got. And we created that. So we created some space for me to enjoy my new relationship.
Yay!
Maybe go on vacation. Maybe.
Yeah.
And yes.
Because that's the interesting, like, opposite thing happening too. It's like we're both needing this spring break, but it's like you need to go and enjoy this juiciness and all this newness and like the fruits of your labor, because you've had the last year that I've been having these last 6 months. Like you're on the kind of like, you've stepped over into the Rumi's Field part of it, and I'm still outside Rumi's Field going like, let me in. If I just work harder, I too will be happy. And it's like, no, I wasn't happy. But and it was hard. Like there was moments where it was like hard to watch you happy because I'm like, why does she get to be happy? And it's like, no, I want to be able to like see your happiness and be like, oh my God, thank God she's happy. I want that for you.
Yeah,
so.
I know you do. And it is weird, right? All of our listeners, there are times when you have something really good happening in your life and a friend of yours is going through something. And how do you hold it? Do you protect them from it? Do you not tell them? I mean, you certainly don't be like, yeah, ha ha ha, this is what. But you
don't
also
dim.
Don't
dim yourself and your happiness, because then you expect everybody around you to dim their happiness when they're feeling it. And it's we
gotta just explore what's happening with us. And I appreciate your ability to be with that and be honest about that. And I really didn't shove it in her face.
No,
just
you didn't.
Every once in a while I had to mention it. Like the day what did you say to me the other day? So how are things going with Mr. Delicious? I'm like, great. That's all I said. Not going to say anything else. They're just great. So,
but it was getting to the point where I felt like I was like sucking the air out of a room, and that's like the worst feeling. It's like when you know that way. Like I was so sick of my own story, and it's like I knew I couldn't get out of it at that moment, and I knew that you're in a completely different story. It's like, wow, I don't want to be like putting like the wet blanket over your happy story. And so then I found myself withdrawing more. And so after a long weekend of processing with my inner child, who had a fun house, more like a haunted house where all the clowns ran out, that was really eye-opening, because it was showing myself these like dark bits that were sitting in there. That's like, well, of course I was having a hard time seeing the joy in this or that, because there's this thing that needed to be dealt with inside. And I really appreciate you just nudging me to like deal with this inner child stuff, because it wasn't the first time you'd said it.
Not really.
You'd been saying it. And I was like, yep, no, I'm not ready for that. But it took the component of you also offering the space with that, because I don't think I would have given myself that space.
Well, that's really great to know, Krista. And everybody who's listening, just, you cannot do this deep work with no space. Mm-mm. You have to grant yourself, you have to know that you're important enough that you would give yourself anything you need, including time and space, to play in a field where, inner child work is nothing more than sitting with yourself, the youngest, broken, wounded little parts of yourself. In some cases, maybe even on a porch swing, and just sitting next to yourself and listening and letting the expression of the wounds and the hurt and the pain of that little child that you were once, who still lives within you, to express itself. And that can be floods of tears. It can be voices of anger. It can be expressions of terror.
Like maybe I should tell them what it was that I did, because when we talk about inner child work, some people have no idea what that looks like. And honestly, there's, you can go to therapy and there's different processes. Yeah. But for me, I was so locked down in my heart and so scared to go in there that all I could do was put my pen to paper. And all I did was invite her out. I was like, okay, little Krista, I'm here. What do you have to say? And I wasn't very nice to her in the beginning, because I really didn't want to know what she had to say. But my pen just started moving, and it wasn't like a blame game on everybody from the rest of who's been in my life. It was more just like these. She just started bringing up and talking about things that had happened during her childhood that were scary. Sometimes it was something like, my dog died and didn't feel like anybody understood how that felt. Or maybe then it was like, oh, I grew up in a house where there was like snakes in the walls and how scary that was to sleep at night. And then I could hear the mice eating. So none of those things.
Was not a barn, but
it was definitely an old house. But it wasn't like anything in particular was super traumatic. But when I looked back at how many of the things I was storing in there, the weight of it was all of a sudden really big.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's not what I think people don't realize, or for me, I just brushed over like, oh, whatever, that little thing happened. But when you add it up with all of the little things, then it's like, oh, there's the material.
Well, I think the other thing is that we lose track that little children, these things are actually very big for.
True.
So as you were experiencing it, it was a huge experience. Now it would be like, I'm going to go talk to my friends. I'm going to sort out how to work with this, but it's not the same kind of trauma. First of all, some of those experiences you're having for the very first time.
Right.
So I think it's easy to minimize when we look back as an adult, back to our childhood experiences, when we have something that doesn't feel like it fits well, and it's really disturbing us. I had the experience yesterday of hearing a woman talk about an experience she had in her childhood where she was locked in a closet. And she had made herself believe as an adult that it wasn't a big deal. Locked in a closet is not a big deal. Like, yes, it is. Even to grown-ups, that would be a big deal. So when you're going in, and again, we want to make this simple enough for people to get, like, while we're on vacation and doing our work, you guys can do yours, is simply quietly waiting and inviting the part of you that's not okay with some things that happened in your childhood that has some sadness or fear or anger up to the surface and just being with it. The feelings will come up, be with them. You have to get to the feelings for them to lift. Then they will never come again.
And
I mean, deeper
it
levels might come, but the same thing gets lifted.
And it's being with the little kid as if it's your child or your niece or your neighbor's child. It's like literally talking to that little child inside of yourself as if it's a real child.
And you're the essence of the adult, most mature adult that you could ever be.
That can comfort.
Kind, comforting, all the things that maybe you didn't get in that situation, which is why it was so scary. Maybe if your dog died and your whole family had a ceremony and you buried it and there were flowers and the whole thing, it wouldn't be there.
I would say the thread through a lot of the experiences I had were these just tough it up, girl mentality. It's not that someone ever said.
That's how she was treating me last week, just so you know.
Yeah, because that's how I was brought up. Like, there's no room to be sad or have feelings or emotions. Just put it behind you, put a smile on your face, wipe the tears off, keep going forward.
Get out the front door and go to school.
That's right. And so that has stuck with me so strongly that in these moments over the last month where I was feeling like the weight of the world was on me, I was doing that to myself. There was no one in my life saying, tough it up, keep going. Even you were like, you never said anything like that to me. I was doing it to myself. Like, what am I crying about? So what if this is happening in my life? So what if my boyfriend did this? So what if my kids are doing that? Like, tough it up. Just keep going. The only way to get through it is to charge ahead. And that's what I was doing.
And Spirit just sent a couple sweet beings into your life, maybe more than a couple, to just keep gently saying, are you sure you're okay? Are you sure this is all right with you? Maybe I could treat you this way and you would see that maybe something different is possible.
Yeah, I had some very sweet people who were showing me, they were treating me in ways that I almost couldn't receive because it felt weak to receive it. And then they were telling me things about myself that I almost couldn't hear because they were too nice. And what that showed me was like, wow, the level of self-abuse and verbal abuse and stuff that I do to myself and take from other people, it's like I have the capacity to hold it. So at a certain point, I just was like, oh, get used to it. That's the way life is.
And we've talked about this before, because once you decide, the universe is offering you some ways to grow, they're all coming in, and you keep saying, I can handle it. I can tough it through. Guess what it gets? Bigger. Okay, I'll throw another one in. Okay, I'll throw another one in, to the point that you're actually not capable of handling it. You have a bunch of choices: alcoholism, drug abuse, sex addiction. You can choose any one of those. Heroin, I guess. You could have chosen that. And you can choose to take a break and go on spring break. Yay! And relax a little. And
show my titties.
Show our titties. That would be so hilarious.
Watch out, Ojai.
You will not see Krista's titties in Ojai, I'm pretty sure, but never know what the internet might hold. Oh, just kidding.
Don't invite any of that.
No, we're not. We're not. Take it back. Take it back. We take it back. Anyway, it is spring break, and you mentioned the titties first, so you get that. But just be gentle. Have a great spring break with us. Have fun. Happy Easter. Have some Easter chocolate and bunnies and all that silliness. Playboy bunnies? I don't know. Do they still have Playboy bunnies? Is that still a thing? I do not know. Anyway, so we're going to take a break. We love you very much. We love you so much. We're going to take a break. We love ourselves so much. We're going to take a break.
And we can't wait to see where Spirit guides us. And we know it's going to be fun and delicious. And we would like to say we'll be back in 2 weeks, but we don't know, because Spirit might need to line a couple more things up for us.
Well, I'm sure Spirit has a lot lined up for us. Synchronicity is one of our favorite things. So we will be paying very close attention to our guidance. And if you have any comments or questions or anything you want to share with us, please find a way to just jump on either Instagram or Facebook. We're there. Holy Fuck Podcast. Also, 2 Gals Soul School. We're there too. So if you don't want to have Holy Fuck on your feed, which some people reportedly do not, you can go the other place. But we are on the lookout for you. We'd love to hear your questions, and we'd love to hear from you. We are not abandoning you. We will be back for season 2. Right? Yay! Season 2. Whoop, all right. Whoop, whoop. Spring break.
Spread
Party
the love.
Spread the love.
Bye, y'all.
Bye, y'all.
Do you want the opportunity to see the gals of Holy Fuck in person? If so, go to holyfuckpodcast.com and join our mailing list so you can find out when and where these goddesses will be transforming lives next. And yes, I know, I'm talking about myself in third person. Open your browser, type in holyfuckpodcast.com, click on mailing list, and give us your most trusty email, not that bogus one you give to Walmart. So sign up now. Not tomorrow. Now. Now. Thank you.